everyone and welcome to my presentation. Today we're going to be doing a deep dive into Girl in Red and how Girl in Red is critical to the queer musical canon. So, who is Girl in Red? Girl in Red is the artist name of Marie Ulven, who creates indie pop music. Ulven is 24 years old and from Norway. Her music focuses on the lesbian experience and what it means and feels like to be a woman who loves women. Today I will argue that Ulven is critical to queer music canon because of Ulven's defiance of gender norms, defiance of binaries and labels within sexuality. She highlights in her music social queer problems such as the typical view that women are just going through a phase when they say they like women. I will explore this further in a deep dive into her song Girls, which is a song that expresses clearly her love for women and the conflicts that come from loving women. Ulven is critical to queer music canon also because of her impact upon queer language, and she should not be left out of the conversation, as often female queer artists are. With male gay artists being much more popular, it is critical we include more queer women like Ulven into the canon. Ulven is critical to the queer canon because she's providing representation of lesbian experiences within pop music. Often bisexuality or male-to-male love is explored in music, in pop music, but lesbianism, without the commercialization towards male sexual fantasies that's often catered to by the industry, lesbianism is rarely seen in an authentic lesbian way. This representation, therefore, from Ulven is really good to see, especially in this commercialized market of pop music, since we know that Ulven likes women herself. The effects of rainbow capitalism are not seen here, and she's rightfully profiting off of her delineation of her own experiences within the queer community. The authentic representation is impactful upon the queer community and provides an outlet and a space for girls who seek to see themselves and their experiences represented and expressed within pop music. However, as a counter to the importance of representation for women who love women in pop music, Ulven herself states that this shouldn't be exclusive. She thinks people should stop gatekeeping her and saying that her music isn't for straight people. This shows that whilst representation is important for queer women, this music, Ulven's music, should be celebrated and enjoyed by any and everybody who wants to learn, be educated and enjoy queer culture. Gatekeeping Ulven as only for queer women significantly reduces the amount of people she can educate upon queer issues, such as the ones she discusses in Girls, like the feeling of shame being queer, stating, "I shouldn't be feeling this, but it's too hard to resist." The idea of Girl in Red is symbolic of the male gaze, with red being the colour that is scientifically supposed to be the most attractive to men for a woman to wear. This plays upon traditional values and imagery of men and women and puts it into a new perspective of women also being just as attracted to women in red. The artist name of Ulven as Girl in Red alone therefore defies stereotypes and forces people to reconsider their own gendered preconceived notions towards sex and sexuality. One issue that impacts the LGBT community that Ulven explores is gender norms and stereotypes. Ulven, in my mind, is the modern day female version of Bowie, Prince and Bolin from T-Rex. Jeffen highlights how Prince's critique of gender binaries showed that an exploration beyond gendered realms and ideas enables more freedom and creativity. This can be seen in Ulven as well, who has a typically not effeminate clothing style of baggy trousers, oversized hoodies and trainers. She states in an interview with the Thomas Reuters Foundation, "I've never felt any pressure to wear makeup or to be more stereotypically feminine." This blatant defiance of gendered stereotypes is important to be represented within the music industry, as many female pop artists are told they have to present femininely and wear small or revealing clothing to be successful within the industry. Ulven's defiance of this industry standard helps young queer people feel more comfortable in their own expressions of gender as defined by their clothing. As Jeffen notes with Prince, the playful combination of masculine and female expectations together creates a whole new gendered experience within the vocals and the performance of music. This is seen within Ulven's music, as Ulven is a woman dressing in a masculine attire, yet singing in a soft, feminine voice. The contradiction of gendered ideas creates a new liminal space for an artist to be able to explore a creative field far broader than the space they would have been allowed to if they had conformed to just one gender. Ulven, therefore, is critical to queer music canon as she builds upon the legacy of Prince's gender contradictions within a modern-day setting. However, as a counter-argument to this, Jeffen's statement about Bowie and T-Rex's Bolin applies to Ulven in the modern day, stating that because they were cisgender, it gave the audience a sense of plausible deniability. Jeffen highlights that on stage, artists can get away with what mainstream culture couldn't. This is why I think Ulven is more revolutionary to gendered norms. She acts and dresses subversively as a part of her authentic self. It's easy to see Ziggy Stardust as an alien form, just being a mere onstage escapism and a part of his performance. But for Ulven, defying these gender norms is her everyday realm and life. But it can be argued that she cannot completely subvert gender norms whilst being bound to the label of a woman. Ultimately, Ulven is cisgendered like Bowie and Bolin, and so the revolutionary impact of her music and performance is potentially halted by this. Yet, I would argue that being a woman allows her to subvert and critique the boundaries of what it is to be a woman and how this is expressed through clothing as a medium from the inside, which has a greater impact than an outside critique of the female gender. The way in which Girl in Red has impacted upon queer language represents the revolutionary impact of Ulven's music. The politics of her music has transcended the musical scene and into everyday queer life and queer language through the question of, do you listen to Girl in Red? This is a queer-coded way of asking if someone is a lesbian, with the presumption if they don't know what you're talking about, then you aren't a part of the community. This also means girls who want to know if another girl is gay can ask her in a covert way that will not result in an obvious rejection. Girl in Red has become a part of language in order to navigate queer life and issues easier, holding a space in LGBTQ and millennial and Gen Z culture. I actually heard the question online before I even heard Girl in Red's music, showing how the lesbian rhetoric in Ulven's music has had an impact across the vast queer scene, upon even those who haven't even heard her music have heard of her and what she represents within the community. Girl in Red is also important to the queer music canon, as can be gleaned from Ulven's rejection of labels and words to categorise herself. She states in an interview with the Thomas Reuters Foundation that using the word lesbian is not my preferred way of referring to myself in a conversation. This links to Taylor's work on Camp, highlighting that individuals who stray away from labels expose the performative qualities of identity, which, considering Ulven's performative critique of social normativities, like in her song Girls, which is a critique on presumed heterosexuality, singing, "He's not really my type, I know what I like," makes, according to Taylor, Ulven's music camp, especially her defiance of labels upon her sexuality. Girl in Red is also critical to the queer music canon because of Ulven's openness surrounding mental health, adding to her authenticity, which can be rare in the music industry. Often queer people will struggle with their mental health more than the average heterosexual. In particular, the youth are affected by this. According to a survey done in 2016 by Can et al., LGBTQ young people are more than twice as likely to feel suicidal and over 4 times as likely to attempt suicide compared to heterosexual youths. 60% of LGBTQ youth reported being so sad that they stopped doing some of their usual activities. Girl in Red's song Serotonin speaks to the all too common experience of queer youth of intrusive thoughts and needing medicine to correct their chemical imbalances, and with Olsen singing that she is terrified of what's inside her mind. To have these experiences normalised and showcased within mass media and the queer pop space enables those who are struggling, as well as Ulven, to feel more okay with talking about their problems because their favourite queer artists are feeling the same way, specifically Ulven. Hopefully, this enables young, troubled queer youths to get the professional mental health needed. Ulven's frankness about her mental health is admirable and needs to be seen more in queer pop, as this is a huge issue affecting many queer individuals. Girl in Red's song Girls highlights the social issues surrounding a woman loving a woman. Ulven states that she has been hiding her feelings for women because she is afraid of what others will say. The societal pressure to be heteronormative is authentically discussed by Ulven, who ultimately comes to the conclusion in the song to break free of these societal norms and be true to herself. The lyrics, This is not a phase, is understood by many females who have experienced dating and loving women. Both men and women have been known to undermine women by stating that they don't know what they want in the queer community itself. Many bisexual women are perceived as just going through a phase by lesbians, and straight men have been known to say that they can tempt a woman out of her sexuality, implying they think female to female love is just a phase until they meet a man. This notion stems from Freud's harmful assertion that bisexuality is a phase that everyone is born into and needs to progress from. Therefore, Girl in Red tackling and highlighting this issue within the queer narrative highlights Girl in Red's importance to the queer pop canon, as Ulven actively targeted social issues within the queer community. In conclusion, Girl in Red is critical to queer pop canon because of Ulven's defiance of gender norms and resistance to labels. Girl in Red's impact upon queer language is key, and Ulven's authenticity surrounding the issues that occur through being queer and being open with her mental health is important to further highlight the social issues within the queer community.